What a headshot! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be going through my first draft for the new FPL season. So it feels good to be back. I know I'm late. FPL released about a week ago, but unfortunately I was on holiday. A little bit of a weird time to take a holiday, I know, but with my work schedule, it was kind of the best time to do it. So it feels good to be back with the first How's It of the 2024/25 season, and don't worry, from now to that Game Week 1 deadline, about 3 weeks away, it's going to be all focused on FPL. So as mentioned, kind of traditionally, when FPL does get released, everyone makes a first draft video. So in this one, I'll be going through my selection of 11 starters and 3 bench options, and let's see how we can refine it from now to that Game Week 1 deadline. Now you guys might actually help me out here. You can post your comments down below, even if it's just your own first draft, or you can help improve my squad as I do get up to date with all the news over on FPL Twitter. So if you guys are absolutely hyped for the upcoming season, if you want to see my first FPL draft, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Now before we go over the actual team, I just want to give an introduction to myself. My name is David or Dayvy. If you guys are new to this channel or new to FPL as a whole, I started this channel a few seasons ago. In the season I finished 22nd in the world. Now since then we've managed to get 3 more top 6k finishes, and hopefully this season we can make it 5 top 10k finishes. Now also I just want to clarify something. I always get asked questions about how can people kind of get access to my team. Well, unfortunately I only make my transfers to the legend members of the channel, which you guys can obviously become if you choose to. But all my content is absolutely free. I'll speak about my team selection, my transfer plans, even my Discord server. That's for both free and paid members, so you guys can join it with the link in the description. I just want to clarify that at the start of the season because I always get questions about my team selections. The actual team is absolutely public, and in the deadline streams you might make transfers, but if I do make transfers during the week, I'll announce those to my legend members. While you guys are at it, you can also subscribe to the channel. Tons of content and videos detailing the best tips and which players to select from now to that Game Week 1 deadline. But let's get into this video, and I'll be going over my first draft in a non-traditional way. I'll be going over this draft as if I was selecting it for the first time over on the FPL website, and I'll keep it as an authentic, genuine first draft experience. So if you guys maybe have questions about how to make a team or a draft, just follow this methodology. I'll be selecting the most important players first. Now one of the most important facts is on the right hand side there, money in the bank 0.0. There's no better feeling than actually getting the perfect draft with 0.0 in the bank, but there might be those of you out there that prefer to keep a bit of cash for a rainy day. But with the team in question, with the price points, I think most managers will probably have 0.0 in the bank come deadline day, unless we get some cheap enablers. So as mentioned, the first player and the most important one, a little bit surprised to see his ownership so low, it's Erling Haaland for me, at his increased 15.0 price tag. Now you guys will notice the Kamsi armband is already on Erling Haaland, and that's because if I have in my team, he's basically the perma captain, but might not be it for this Premier League season. So I touched on his low ownership, but around 33% now that 2 million managers have signed up with their teams. So that could be because of kind of auto pick squads, but I think most managers think he's too expensive. Now the reason that he might be a no-brainer for me is that Kamsi debate. With Erling Haaland, you're pretty much going to captain him the most out of any Premier League player, and because that gets you double points, you can almost consider his price tag to be a bit cheaper. In a future video though, I'll be detailing why Erling Haaland might be good value or might be terrible value, so make sure that you guys keep your eyes out for that one. Now are you guys hashtag Team Haaland or hashtag Team No Haaland? And if you aren't selecting the Norwegian, comment down below why. Now my next selection, it's not going to be Mo Salah. He might come up in the future, but I'll give you a spoiler alert here, he's not in my first draft, as I think he might actually be a little bit too expensive for my team. Without him, if I'm not going to captain him as much as Erling Haaland, I can spread that value a bit more, and as mentioned, definitely be captaining the Man City forward more than the Egyptian. Now I'll be making a few drafts. I am a Liverpool fan, so I do want some Liverpool flair in my squad. I just want to see how the preseason goes with the new manager. So therefore my next player selection is actually Ollie Watkins at 9.0 million. If you go for Ollie Watkins, you probably don't have Mo Salah in your team unless you have a 3 premium layout. Now Ollie Watkins enters my team, and the reason for this is that if you guys look at the forwards, there aren't many kind of desirable options, and I kind of believe outside of Haaland and Ollie Watkins, a lot of forwards kind of feel a bit punty. That just means they might not be the most secure assets, if that's in terms of minutes or kind of goal threat, and that's why Ollie Watkins comes in with some nice fixtures for Villa. Now I haven't exactly done the most intense fixture analysis yet, I kind of just looked at the next 6 fixtures almost for these squads. That video will come up shortly. So Ollie Watkins might be a surprising one. His ownership is still quite high though, and I like the look of Aston Villa from an attacking point of view towards the end of last season. Now let's give our midfield some love, and my first midfielder or my first premium midfielder is going to be Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. Now some news reports today and yesterday from Arteta saying that he should be fine for game week 1. I know England just played in the kind of Euros final, but I do believe Saka will be fit and firing for game week 1, and he had a price jump to 10 million. Now I might be a little bit surprised here that he is kind of my first selection in the midfield department. Where's Cole Palmer? Where's Phil Foden? Well, Saka might actually be my only premium midfielder. Now if you guys are going to compare Saka to Palmer, and that's where my debate was, I've selected a player in the future that hopefully will cover Palmer slightly, as I believe outside of Saka, I don't really like the other Arsenal assets. So let's see if Arsenal can kick on like they did last season. A second place finish was pretty nice. Before we complete our midfield department, I want to go over the forward department though quickly. My third striker is going to be Isaac from Newcastle. I just believe at his price point, 8.5 million is pretty nice, and the Newcastle fixture is also pretty good. Now Callum Wilson is always going to be in the windows waiting for a start. I just want to see how his fitness kind of progresses over this preseason, but Isaac at the moment is undroppable in that Newcastle lineup. Newcastle's fixture is also pretty good to start off the season and therefore a very easy selection. And like when I spoke about Ollie Watkins, these 3 forwards, anyone outside of them feels a little bit punty. Now as mentioned, Saka was kind of my only premium sort of priced midfielder. I've now gone for some cheaper assets and there could be some good value here. I like Newcastle so much and their price points. I've also gone for Anthony Gordon as my second midfielder. At 7.5 million, the home beast has entered my team. Now luckily Newcastle start off at home in game week 1. You guys know Gordon's stats are always better at home than away, but I think he's on for a great Premier League season. At that price point, I do believe he's more of an outstanding pick amongst the options, and therefore when you add some good fixtures to the mix, he's an easy selection. Now we're going to continue the trend of these cheaper midfielders, and I mentioned Cole Palmer and trying to cover him. Well, I've actually gone for Nkunku at 6.5 million, who could actually be an absolute underpriced gem. A lot of hype for Nkunku today after the Chelsea manager came out and said that he could play a variety of positions. I just hope it's somewhere in the forward line as I want more goals and assists. But no, I'm not saying Nkunku can completely kind of cover Cole Palmer. He's definitely the better selection, but at his cheaper price point could be a nice alternative. Now all eyes will be on that Chelsea preseason as we kind of progress, how his fitness looks, where he's playing, and how many minutes. As if he does look nailed for game week 1, he's an easy selection. Now to give you guys some context into my kind of drafting procedure, what I then did was I went for my defense. I just wanted to see how much value I had in the bank for my 4th midfielder. Obviously the more value the better. Now for my first defender, I wanted a team that was one of the best defensive squads, and I wanted a player that was pretty nailed for minutes. Now ironically, I selected Gabriel. I say ironically because today Arsenal have had news that they might be signing a new centre back, and therefore Gabriel's spot might actually be in jeopardy. So yes, I've given you a whole speech about going for a nailed option, whereas Gabriel might not be that asset, but at the same price Saliba could be an interesting alternative. Now you guys know how well Arsenal defended last season, one of the best if not the best defensive stats side, and therefore I want a piece of that Arsenal defense. Other added factors, their ownership is pretty high. Saliba owned by more than Gabriel at the moment, which is a little bit of a weird one as Gabriel offers more attacking threat. Maybe your FPL managers knew that Arsenal would sign a new centre back and therefore prefer Saliba. Now what I then did was I actually completed my defense, but I won't be going over that right now. Just know that I did kind of the planning of my cheaper defenders and my bench, which resulted in Eze at 7.0 million. Now lots of transfer talk about Eze, a potential move could be on the cards. So does that make Eze a better or worse asset? This might be a little bit of a nostalgia pick from last season if you guys remember. His double game week heroics propelled me into the top 5k, and at his price point, I think he's a standard option on his day. The big question marks around him and the price tag. If I could find some value, I probably would upgrade him. But with Elise leaving the picture, he's the main talisman for Crystal Palace at the moment. So let's see what happens. I could upgrade this slot, but right now at his price point, the one I'm going to select. Now I mentioned that I already went over the defense and you guys know what that means. It's super cheap option time. Let's go for our goalkeeper. Now you guys notice it's going to be Petrovic. Other managers own Sanchez at the moment. Between Petrovic, Sanchez, whoever gets the slot is going to be a, but Chelsea might actually sign a new goalkeeper shortly. So let's hope that he comes in at 4.5, it probably will be around 5.0. But if we do get a Chelsea goalkeeper at 4.5, their fixtures throughout the season are simply outstanding. Now I always go for a cheap goalkeeper, is kind of what I do with my drafts. so the 4.5s like an Areola could be an alternative. Now we're going to continue the 4.5 train with the rest of our defenders, starting off with Dan Burn at that price point. Now there has been some rumours about Trippier potentially departing that could open up Livramento as a more attacking fullback, but at the moment it's Dan Burn. Now Newcastle's defence kind of deteriorated a little bit towards the end of last season, but I still feel like he's good value at his price point. Also semi-decent fixtures, especially to start the season with, but he might be a rotation pair with someone like a Konza that comes in third. So Konza also 4.5 should win the slot at fullback over Matty Cash and help secure up that Aston Villa defence slightly when he was playing. Now Aston Villa also has some pretty good fixtures and therefore I've included him at 4.5, one of the better assets at that price point. I also want to give a shout out here to Anderson on my bench, also comes in at 4.5, comparing him and Gay. Anderson offers far more attacking threat. Now having watched Crystal Palace last season, they might be more attacking than defensive, but I still feel like Anderson could be a key player in this 4.5 rotation. Now there are actually plenty of 4.5s at the moment. You guys go for a Wolves asset, an Everton one like a Mikalenko. Just make sure that your rotations are set quite nicely. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of my bench because the simple reason is that it's super cheap. I've got Turner at 4.0, as well as Harwood Bellis, who is also 4.0, and then Harry Winks at 4.5. Now all these players could change throughout the kind of preseason. I'm not going to put too much attention on them though. Yes, it's important to kind of select the best cheap 4.0 defender at the end of the day, but the starting 11 is far more important. So saying that, what do you guys think about this team on paper? Yes, there might be some gaps to fill, example of Petrovic/Sanchez. What do you guys think about Eze? Do you think he's going to leave the club or stay there? And what about #NoSalah? So post-production, Dayvy going to hop on this track because I've got to talk about the fixtures for my first draft. So I'm going to pop those up on screen right now. I'll also give you guys my predictions on how the draft will change in the upcoming days or weeks, so stay tuned for that. So if you guys do see the fixtures, the majority of this team has great ones. That's an expectation as this is game week 1. But unfortunately, Chelsea do face Man City at home. Now, if I was to go for someone like a Cole Palmer, interesting kind of rotation I might do in terms of transfers would be to start with someone like a Heung-min Son, avoid the Man City game for Chelsea, and then bring Palmer in game week 2 or 3. Now with Nkunku, don't exactly know if it's worth doing that at his price point, but that could be a strategy I do opt for. But as mentioned, the rest of the team looks pretty strong. I guess that Chelsea fixture for Haaland isn't the best in the world, but I do feel like he's still a great Campsy option. Now in terms of our predictions for the upcoming changes, I think in the upcoming weeks, there'll be the emergence of a cheap budget option in terms of the striker position. I therefore think Ollie Watkins could go down to that budget option, and we could upgrade someone like an Eze to a more expensive asset. Now how cheap that is might be a João Pedro at 5.5, might be a Chris Wood at 6.0, and that gives a sizable chunk of cash to upgrade Eze. Overall defensively, maybe a Trent or Robbo could come into the picture. Liverpool have great fixtures, but I want to see how good they are defensively first. Just kind of a quick input, just wanted to talk about the fixtures as they do look pretty strong. Now just a reminder, this was kind of my first draft that I created, and now I'm going to be doing a ton of analysis. I'll be looking over all the data, the fixtures, and I'll improve this squad in about a week's time. Also using your guys' feedback in the comments down below. While you're at it, post your first drafts. I want to see what you guys are dealing with. Otherwise, hopefully see you guys on the Discord server, link in the description. This is basically going to wrap the video, guys. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you didn't subscribe if you have subscribed yet. And for the time being, I'm just signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.